Welcome in, everyone. We're diving into a real doozy today. A legal battle brewing in the crypto world.
It's a juicy one.
Electric Solidus, Inc. They do business as Swan Bitcoin versus Proton Management Ltd. and others. We're talking Bitcoin, accusations of corporate espionage. Someone even threw around the phrase rain and hellfire in the documents we got.
Yeah, it gets intense. This case really digs into how competitive the cryptocurrency scene is, especially when you're talking about the lengths companies will go to protect what they've built.
Right. You've sent us court filings, contracts, even what looks like internal communication excerpts. We're here to figure out what exactly is Swan Bitcoin claiming went down. And honestly, what's really on the line here?
Because this isn't just gossip, right? This could have ripple effects.
Exactly. So beyond the headlines, we're breaking down the legal stuff, the tech, and how this whole thing could impact the crypto world. It's a business story just as much as it is about Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
So big picture. Swan Bitcoin, they're a big name, helping everyday people buy and manage their Bitcoin. Their claim is a chunk of their former employees pulled off a heist, basically, of their entire mining operation to start a competitor, Proton Management.
And when they lay it out in the complaint, it does seem like this was carefully planned. We're talking data theft, breach of contract, even allegations of messing with funding agreements to weaken Swan's position.
You keep saying mining, and the documents get into the nitty-gritty of how it all works. But just in case someone's listening who's, picturing a pickaxe and hard hat.
Right, not that kind of mining. It's all digital.
Explain it like we're back in the early days. What's fascinating is how Swan's case relies on their specific tech and methods. They call out something called their BNOC system and their hash rate optimization techniques.
Ah, hash rate optimization. You're speaking my language. I love getting into the tech side.
Please break it down.
So hash rate, think of that as the raw computing power of the entire Bitcoin network. Miners, they use powerful computers, and they're in a race to solve really complex math problems. The faster you solve them, the more Bitcoin you get.
It's like a giant Sudoku puzzle, but with way higher stakes.
Exactly. So optimizing that hash rate means squeezing every bit of performance out of your mining setup. It's how you rake in more Bitcoin faster.
So if someone stole Swan's playbook for maximizing their mining, that's not just taking clients, that's taking the brains of the operation, like you said.
You got it. And that's exactly Swan's argument. They built it, Proton stole it. This BNOC system, the optimization secrets. That's their edge. And they're saying it was exploited.
Give us the inside scoop. What exactly is this BNOC system, and why is it so crucial for Swan?
They claim BNOC stands for Bitcoin Network Operating Center. Basically, their mission control for mining. Imagine a real-time view of their entire operation, how much energy is being used, cooling systems, everything. That lets them tweak things on the fly to be more efficient, which means more profitable.
So it's like having a supercomputer that manages other supercomputers, making sure they're mining Bitcoin as efficiently as possible.
It's like a high-tech algorithmic conductor.
Wow. And Swan is arguing this alleged theft hurt way more than just losing some code. They claim it tanked their reputation, scared off investors, even messed with their plans for a massive funding round, right?
Yeah, their Series C. For anyone who isn't swimming in startup terms all day, that's where a company tries to bring in a ton of money to grow really fast. Swan was aiming for $1 billion valuation, supposedly.
$1 billion. So this isn't just a couple disgruntled employees. This is high-stakes corporate intrigue.
Oh, absolutely.
Swan is saying their entire future was riding on this, and it got derailed. But how did it all go down? That's what we want to unpack, the timeline of this supposed rain and hellfire strategy.
Let's get into it.
All right, so Swan's laying out this whole conspiracy, saying it played out over months. They point to a meeting back in July 2024 between their then chief investment officer, Raphael Zagari, and someone from Tether, a guy named Zach Lyons.
This is where it gets juicy, right? Because remember, Tether was supposed to be Swan's buddy in this whole mining venture.
Partners in crime, or at least partners in Bitcoin.
Right, exactly. But Swan says in this meeting, Lyons throws him under the bus, basically, saying Swan has no value to Tether.
Ouch.
And the kicker is, this is weeks before anyone quit.
So they're saying Tether's talking smack while still acting chummy. Bold move.
That's what they're alleging. And it doesn't stop there. They're saying there were secret meetings, side conversations, some with Michael Holmes, the guy who ends up founding Proton. This wasn't just casual. They're claiming it was coordinated, meant to undermine Swan.
So not just a few rogue employees, but a full-on scheme.
That's the allegation. And remember, this is all happening while they're supposedly working with Swan on that $1 billion funding round.
Double agents. Okay, hold on. The complaint mentions something called Corey Thoughts, a document something about a poison pill recommendation. What in the corporate espionage is that?
Right. Okay, so Swan says Zachary, while he's still employed by them, drafts this document. In it, he suggests that Swan should split their mining business off completely from their other financial stuff.
Like, hey, let's cut off this limb. It's just weighing us down.
Right before they allegedly chop it off and run. It does seem very strategic, as if they're trying to make it Swan's idea. They're saying this Corey Thoughts thing is part of a pattern. Zachary and others were spreading rumors about Tether pulling out of their deal, trying to create chaos within Swan.
Making it seem like Swan's going under, so bailing ship's the smart move.
Exactly. It gets even bolder. Swan alleges Zachary tried to get their board of directors to practically give the mining operation to Tether for a ridiculously low price, too.
This is wild. So it's not just stealing the plans, but trying to sell off the whole factory, basically.
That's what they're saying. So when does Proton officially become a thing? When do they go from plotting to actually being a rival company?
That's what I want to know.
According to Swan, Holmes registers Proton in the Breach Virgin Islands at the end of July 2024. And almost at the same time, they claim multiple employees start downloading tons of confidential data.
So they're not just talking, they're grabbing the blueprints, like you said.
Yeah, they name names, too. Rafael Montaleno was a key figure, they allege. Files from Google Drive, Notion, even source code copied from GitHub.
GitHub. For anyone who isn't glued to a computer screen all day, that's like where developers keep their code, right?
Yeah, think of it like a digital library for code. So Swan is saying their software for that BNOC system, it was copied.
Bold move, just copying and pasting.
Right. And it wasn't just digital. Swan says physical laptops went missing, devices with sensitive info on them gone, even after they asked for them back. This all leads up to August 8th, 2024.
August 8th. What happened? Did the lights go out at Swan headquarters?
That's the day of the mass resignation. Swan claims Zachary, Holmes, several others all quit on the same day, right after allegedly taking all this data.
Talk about a mic drop moment.
Right. And naturally, one might think Proton swoops in to grab the mining operation.
Like a hostile takeover.
Yeah. Not immediately, no. But Swan says, just a few days later, Tether informed them that Proton will now be running the day-to-day of their joint venture, 2040 Energy.
Wait, so the supposed partner sides with the alleged thieves? What's going on here?
Swan is arguing that's exactly what happened, and here's where it gets even more interesting. Swan says Tether then sends them a notice of event of default.
Hold on, a default? As in Swan broke the agreement.
You got it. It's like something out of a movie. They're saying it was a setup, a way to push Swan out and just hand everything to Proton.
It's corporate drama, but with actual bitcoins at stake. So what's Swan left with after all this?
That's the thing. They're claiming they were left with nothing, no mining operation, their funding partner's gone, and who knows what other investors thought after all this.
A nightmare scenario. And they're saying it cost them their big funding round, their shot at going public, all because of this alleged scheme.
It's high stakes, for sure. So what do you do when you're Swan Bitcoin and you think you've been played like this? You fight back. And they came armed with a laundry list of legal claims, which is where things get really interesting.
Okay, enough corporate drama, Krat. Let's talk law. What are the actual legal punches Swan is throwing?
Oh, they came to fight. The complaint throws the whole book at them. Trade secret misappropriation, breach of contract, tortious interference, unfair competition, even civil conspiracy.
Whoa, slow down. You're making my head spin. Break that down for me.
Trade secret misappropriation, that's got to be serious,
Yeah.
right? It's a big deal. Swan is saying Proton and whoever else was in on it, they stole confidential info, the good stuff, that gave Swan a leg up in the Bitcoin mining game. We're talking their BNOC system, those optimization techniques, even their financial models.
So like the recipe for mining Bitcoin more efficiently. Like if someone swiped Coca-Cola's secret formula.
Exactly. It's legally protected trade secrets. And Swan's saying this wasn't just, oh, you hurt our feelings. They're claiming this tanked their future.
Right, that whole billion-dollar funding round going public, all gone.
That's what they're saying. Lost investors, the whole 9 yards. They're trying to show that it all goes back to this alleged theft.
And what about these breach of contract claims? Did these guys literally sign something saying they wouldn't do what Swan's accusing them of?
That's exactly what Swan is pointing to. They're bringing up the confidentiality clauses in those employment contracts, consultant agreements. It wasn't a suggestion. It flat out said, you can't take this info and use it against us.
So even if those guys hadn't downloaded files, just knowing how Swan does things and now maybe using that at Proton, that's a problem.
That's the argument. You have a duty to your past employer, even after you leave, to not use what you learned against them. Swan says that trust was broken, and contracts were broken too.
You mentioned tortious interference. That sounds serious. Is that like interfering with witnesses, but for businesses?
Think of it this way. Swan's claiming that Proton and Holmes, along with Naidu, they messed with Swan's existing contracts, specifically the agreements they had with the employees who quit.
So they're saying Proton actively encouraged those people to break their word and jump ship.
Exactly. And this is where it goes beyond just the employees who left. Proton itself could be on the hook for allegedly poaching them.
Sneaky. And there was another term you used earlier, unfair competition. Is that literally what it sounds like?
Pretty much. Swan's saying that by using stolen info and taking their workforce, Proton got an unfair advantage in the market. It's like cheating at a race, but for business.
So instead of tripping someone, they stole their running shoes beforehand.
You got it. And to tie it all together, there's the civil conspiracy claim. Swan's arguing this wasn't a coincidence, a few things going wrong. It was a coordinated attack, a deliberate plan to dismantle their business and hand the pieces over to Proton.
This is like a legal thriller, but in the real world with real money or Bitcoin on the line.
Right, and so much of it hinges on what Swan can actually prove. They're talking emails, Zoom logs, meeting notes.
But is that enough to win in court?
That's the billion-dollar, or should we say, Bitcoin question. We've gone through the accusations, the key players, the potential fallout. But the final word rests with the courts.
This deep dive has been a wild ride. Corporate espionage, Bitcoin mining, legal battles that could reshape an entire industry. We've covered it all.
And this isn't over yet. This case is still unfolding, and it raises huge questions about how companies protect themselves, especially in the fast-paced world of crypto.
It makes you think in a digital age where information is power, how do you ensure fair play? That's something to chew on as this case moves forward. We'll be watching closely and be back soon with more deep dives. Until then, thanks for listening.